Okay, so these notes are going to be at school, so you'll want to fill them in at school, or you can go ahead and just write them down in your notebook. So I do have a copy if you ask me for them when you get to school when you're back. So, anyways, to describe the slope of parallel lines, first off, the shorthand or what we do for the symbol for parallel lines is going to be those two lines like this. And you'll tell me that the slope is going to be the same. Now, the slope of perpendicular lines, and the shorthand for perpendicular lines is that upside down T. We kind of learned that in the last test. And they're going to be what's called the negative reciprocal. And I could have spelled reciprocal wrong, so just spell it right. I can't remember if it has an E or not. So the word negative just means that it will be the opposite sign. All right, so that's what that means. The word reciprocal means to flip it over. So if it's a whole number, you will have to place it. So if you're flipping over a 2, you will have to place a 1 under it and flip it over. All right, so let's talk about the parallel slope to this one. First off, you have to remember that slope is rise over run. So you would want to rise and run. If you go left or down, it is negative. So I'm going to rise 1 and run 4. And since it is to the left, it's negative. So my slope is a rise of 1 and a run of negative 4. So that's a 1 over negative 4. So to be parallel to that, it would have to be the same slope. So this could be a negative 1 over 4. To be perpendicular to that, it would have to be the negative reciprocal. So that means I'm going to flip it over, which would be 4 over 1. And then change the sign, which makes it positive. So it's a positive 4 over 1, which simplifies or reduces to 4. So this slope and this slope are perpendicular. All right, so now this one right here, this is the line that they're talking about, and this is a vertical line. Vertical lines have undefined slopes. So if it's undefined, all of the undefined slopes will be parallel to each other. That just means you have a vertical line going everywhere. That's undefined. Perpendicular would be one that has a flat, so it would have to be through here. So that means you would have a 0 slope. So lines that are flat like this have 0. Lines that are up and down like this are undefined. I'll shorten that, undefined. All right, so if you're not given a graph and you're given some ordered pairs, we do have a slope formula that we can look at. So the formula is that y2 minus y1, I'm going to go ahead and put that over here in the corner, divided by x2 minus x1. What you'll do is you're going to take the y of each point and you will subtract them. So you are going to divide your paper into 2. I'm going to find the slope of the line AB, because that's what it says to do first. And then I'm going to find the slope of the line CD, and then I'm going to compare them. I'm going to determine if they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So the line AB will be y2 minus y1. So here's y2. This is the y of the second point, minus y1, which is the y of the first point. So I'm going to do negative 12 minus 3, and that's on the top of a fraction. And then I'm going to do the second point, this is the x2, which is 2, minus the x of the first point, which is negative 4. So notice that I have a subtraction in the problem, and I have a negative in the number. So if you have a subtraction and a negative, you do have to put both of those. Now you want to grab a calculator and do the math. So this is a negative 15 over 6, and that will reduce to a negative 5 over 2. All right, so this is the slope of AB. I'm now going to do the same thing with CD. So I'm going to do 1 minus 5, so it's the y minus the y. And then we'll do the x minus the x. 1 minus 5 is negative 4. 0 minus 10, negative 10. Okay, so again, I did y, y2 minus y1. 1 minus 5. Then I did the x's. I did the x2, and then I did the x1. Right, so 1 minus 5 is negative 4, and 0 minus 10 is negative 10. When you reduce that, 2 goes into that twice, 2 goes into that 5. So now you can compare them. When you compare the two, I have a negative 5 over 2, and I have a positive 2 over 5. So do I have the same, oops, just bring it down. Do I have the same slope? Well, no, because this is 2/5 and this is a negative 5/2 and this is a 2/5. So I don't have the same. Do I have a negative reciprocal? Okay, so do I have opposite sign? And then do I flip the fraction? So let's look. The signs are opposite, yeah. The fractions flipped, yes. So you're going to tell me that these are perpendicular. That's the shorthand for it, or you're welcome to write perpendicular. All right, I'm going to let you try number 19 by yourself and bring it to me. Number 20, I'll go ahead and start that one. Again, we're going to do AB and then CD. So AB will be y2 minus y1, that's 6 minus 6. X2 minus x1, that's negative 1 minus 5. And that is 0 over negative 6, which equals 0. We'll do the same thing here. Negative 4 minus negative 7 divided by negative 2 minus negative 2. Negative 4 minus 7 is 3. Negative 2 minus negative 2 is 0. So this is undefined. Anytime the denominator is the 0, it's undefined. So now when I compare these two, I'm comparing a 0 slope and an undefined. Anytime you have a 0, that's this way, and an undefined, that's vertical, these two will be perpendicular. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the equations. I'm sorry. So you have equations, and they need to be in the y equals mx plus b form, and you need that. You need the m. That's the slope. If they don't have y equals, you will then move the x to this side by changing its sign, and then divide whatever number's in front of the y in order to find the m. So let's go over here and look. Do we have y equals mx plus b? Well, you do. The number in front of the x is always 1 if it's not stated. Do you have y equals mx plus b here? No, but there is another one here. I have to move the x, and then I'll divide by negative 1. All right, so this one I don't. I have y equals mx plus b, so the m equals 1. In order to see that the m is just sitting there, I do have to get y equals by itself. So I'm going to move the x from the left to the right. And when I move it with opposite sign. So it's a negative 1x. So it's a positive 1x here, moved over here to negative 1x. It's now gone on the left. And they'll divide everything by the number with the y. There's always 2 steps to put it into the form that we need. 2 divided by negative 1 is negative 2. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive 1x. Okay, so now I have y equals mx, here's my mx, plus b. Okay, so here's my m, here's my b. So the 1, and this is the mx, by the way, I just need the m. So m equals 1. So if I have a slope of 1, then you would tell me my lines are parallel. And again, it's just shorthand for parallel. All right, same thing here. I'm going to write this one down a little lower to try to show you again. This one is already in y equals mx plus b form. The m is negative 2. This one is not. So I'm going to take this positive 1x, and I'm going to move it over here as a negative 1x. And then it's gone on the left, move to the right. You'll then take whatever number is in front of the y and divide every single term by that number. These cancel, and you're left with y equals 8 divided by negative 2, negative 4. Negative 1 divided by negative 2 is a positive 1/2 x. So I now have, this is my b, this is my mx. So my m in this equation is 1/2. All right, so let's compare them. I have a 1/2, and then I have a negative 2 over 1. Now, whole numbers, don't forget you can place over 1, so you can compare them a little better. So are the signs different? Yes. This one and this one, they flipped. Well, yeah, if you flip this over, you get 2 over 1. So that means these are perpendicular. All right, so let's go ahead and do this one. This is the same thing as the last one. We are going to move. So I'm going to write it down here. And we're going to move this one too. We have to move the x, divide by the number with the y. So I'm going to move the x, positive 4x minus 4x. And then divide by the number with the y. And every term gets divided. All right, we'll do the same thing with that other one. Then we'll go back and look at our slopes. So I'm going to move. And then I'm going to divide the number with the y. So y equals 9 minus 3/4 x. All right, so the number with the x, which is a negative 4/3, is my m. The number with the x, the negative 3/4. So are these going to be parallel, which would be the same, perpendicular, opposite side but flipped over, or are these neither? All right, so these are neither because now they are flipped, which is awesome, but the signs are the same. So that makes them neither. Okay. All right, this one's pretty easy. If you have y equals, what they're saying is your 0x plus 5. And if you have y equals, you have 0x minus 2. So if you have a 0x and a 0x, that means your slope is 0 on both of them. So these lines are parallel. All right, so try to do number 19 on your own. Bring that to me, and we'll see how you did.